Unbelievable. I'm all right. Not for me. Hey, so unbelievable. Hit the like button coming through the door. We're gonna find out how we got here. Micah Parsons is gone. 2 first-round picks. What prompted this? Jerry's interview with Stephen A. Smith. That's what really prompted this. In the end, that was the last straw. And we're going to get to that. Giving people a little bit of time to get in. So hit the like button up. I'm sorry, I didn't even know I was knocked off. Nah, somebody like, let's go. Still hanging with them bum ass Packers, huh? Now, anyway, here's the news. Because this keeps getting crazier and crazier. Cowboys got fleeced. No, Cowboys was the one who wanted to get rid of Micah. They didn't want to get rid of him. Let's go back to the start. Okay? During this contract negotiation, before there was really even a negotiation, Micah was making note of it because of his agent. They were making that Micah's contract, the Cowboys, their future, what they're going to do. This was a year ago. So a year ago, all of these things about what they were going to do, the future, how they were going to proceed moving forward, right? All of these decisions that they were talking about making. Dak was getting his money. They knew that. And it was like, who they're going to pay next. Is it going to be CeeDee Lamb or Micah Parsons? One is going to get paid. You ain't going to be able to afford all three. And everybody said, well, they got time on Micah. They don't have to do Micah this year. They can take care of CeeDee Lamb. It was at this point, Micah was putting up numbers, but he had gotten injured and was sitting on the sideline. But his impact was felt. He was one of the greatest rushers in the league. Everybody saw it. So now, once again, things turn. And as they take a turn, they go to another direction. They haven't even gotten to negotiations yet. Micah is meeting with all the powerful people in Hollywood through his agent. He's what's his name? Ruben. He went to the Ruben White party. He's with all the celebrities. He's hanging out with Taylor Rooks and everyone else. He does an interview, you know, and talking about his future, where he's going. Hollywood. He's at the award shows. He's at Fashion Week. Micah Parsons is a superstar now in the NFL. And as an NFL superstar, this raises his negotiation cachet. He's more popular than CD Lamb. Yeah, crazy as it is, Micah's way more popular than CD Lamb. CD Lamb don't get invited to these events like that. But not Micah. Micah's Hollywood. He's box office now. So now you throw the cape around Micah Parsons and bring him in. But you know what happened? Jerry Jones happened. And Jerry is the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys. Even though his sons are all in the business, he's the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys. So how the Cowboys are going to run and what they're going to do, it's all up to Jerry. Now, Jerry tries an old sneak trick, knowing that he's supposed to negotiate with the agent. He creeps up to Micah, starts talking to him about his contract, his deal, and what they're going to agree to. Shakes his hand and says, all right, now we got an agreement. Now I'm going to put that thing in writing and get it on over to you. Basically going through and past the agent because he didn't like what the agent was asking for, apparently. So he tries this wiggle room where he gives his phone number to Micah Parsons. Something he never does is give out his cell phone number, according to what he said to Stephen A. They have this conversation where they have already agreed, according to Jerry, and Micah shook his hand, and they text each other back and forth, and Micah texts him and says, call my agent. Do not text me directly anymore. Talk to my agent. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, exactly. So it flipped upside down on top of its own head. And the reason why is because after that, Micah Parsons and his agent decided Jerry was using dirty negotiational tactics. And that's not what they wanted. So Jerry knew that's not what the contract was. And saying, oh, you're going to be the second highest paid. That this came down to mostly guaranteed money. And this was not the deal they had that the agent wanted and felt Michael he had earned and deserved. So Jerry was like, well, you still be the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. So I don't see the problem. So now, as Jerry's doing his negotiation in the media, we see what happens. right? As all the negotiations are happening in the media, we're starting to see what happens. Jerry's trying to turn the narrative into this is a Micah's agent problem. The agent's the problem. Now, ask yourself, why wouldn't an agent want to negotiate with the owner and general manager of a team? Saying me and Micah got an agreement. It's the agent who don't have the agreement. If Micah said, don't text me, text my agent, well, why don't you send your agreement of what Micah wanted to the agent? He works for Micah. So if Micah's not agreeing with you, he didn't fire the agent, what you tried to get him to do by manipulating the press, that it was the agent. Then hugging on his mama, trying to use his mama for PR purposes. And the statement she made about, well, you know, he's been hurt. So, you know, we've been signing a lot of guys and giving away that kind of money and guys getting hurt. The way you said that and the candor you said that is, all right, I see what they're doing. I don't want nothing to do with that. Why don't y'all go ahead and y'all just go ahead. I don't want nothing to do with that. Y'all go ahead and trade me. I don't want to be there no more. So now, Micah don't want to be a Cowboy anymore. And this is all based on what Jerry's been doing in the past couple of months. It went from, let's get to a deal, to, I don't want to play for the Cowboys no more. I don't want to play for him no more. And that changed because of Jerry. And then the last two things he did was the Stephen A. Smith interview and hugging up on his mama, laughing. I heard we got a problem with some money with Micah and all that crazy. Laughing with the mama, trying to use the mom as a prop. So Micah's like, I got a nagging injury. I will go ahead and get that taken care of. And I won't be cleared to play. And you could franchise tag me all you want. I will sit out the season. He was more than prepared to sit out. And they knew Micah was serious. Jerry, in his defiant, pissed off way, said, man, F this. He don't want to be a Cowboy. He want to be that goddamn stupid. We'll ship his ass out of here. You see how we made everybody a star? You get what you think you're going to get? Well, let's send him to Green Bay. Let's see how much marketing opportunities he get in Green Bay. What he going to do? Sell some goddamn cheese on his goddamn head over there? Send his ass to Green Bay. See how he likes it over there when there ain't no Hollywood in Green Bay. All they got is the stadium and the cheese factory. Go on and sniff cheese all day, you dumb bastard. Trading his dumb ass. So Jerry traded him. Just like that. Once they dictated to Jerry, he wants out. He will never play for you again. Jerry was, oh, is that the case? What, he think he gonna sit out 2 seasons? I'll franchise his tag his ass again. They was Jerry, he'll suit up and not play. He's willing to sit out 2 years. So are you ready to lose? So you ready to get something for him. So Jerry finds the Packers, finds 2 first-round draft picks, and be like, 2 first-round draft picks, that's great. That's all we need. Get his ass out of here. So Micah Parsons is gone from the Dallas Cowboys to the Green Bay Packers. Now, here's the reason that he's gone and what he signed for. He's agreed to a 4-year, $188 million deal that gives him 136 guaranteed $1 million out of the 188, which what he was looking for was the guaranteed money. And now he's going over and taking that deal to the Green Bay Packers. For 2 first-round picks. Wow. I thought they would have got more out of the deal than 2 first-round picks for Micah, but that just shows you the disgust Jerry has in this whole situation. Now let's get to my favorite part of it, my side. Now we get into my side about the situation. And my side is much better because it's involving me. Now on my side of the coin, it comes to a whole different plateau. This is the side I have. Micah Parsons should have been gone if he didn't want to sign. And I would have signed him for far less money. I'd have let him go in a trade a long time ago when there was a lot of pieces out here to trade for. I'm not going to wait right before the season starts to get rid of Mike. No way, shape, or form. One, Micah Parsons had a hot rookie season. Really fast at that position, but they really don't know how to use him in Dallas. They start putting him in different systems. He was getting ready to play for his 3rd head coach since he's been in the league. He's had 2 big injuries that cost him to miss a number of games. There's only 16, 17 games left in the season. So missing games is very important. Then you spending out all this money and the team is just losing. Last season was probably the most dismal season in Cowboys history. They got all this money on the field, and most of it was sitting on the bench. Micah Parsons, when he's on the field, is not making an impact, even though he got 12 sacks, because he's the best edge in football because of his speed. When the big games come around, Micah's not that important. 11 gets neutralized because they know how to game plan for him. And his undersizement comes into play when he runs up against real offensive line. And you start to see that a lot. When he was going up against these 300-pounders trying to bull rush, and you start seeing the power difference. And it was like, Micah better hit the weight room They throwing him like a little pancake around him. But when you get Hollywood, start getting up ready for Fashion Week, and you more concerned about getting facials, getting your nails done, because they got the Met Galas and your name is in the invite list. You forgot what got you into these rooms. Not was football. I've watched Micah decline right before our very eyes. So I'm on the side of Jerry by not paying his ass a dime. I think it's the best thing that ever happened to the Cowboys. Not paying Micah is the best thing ever. I'm not going to say it's a lot of hype, but it's a lot of stats on teams that don't matter. And he ain't moving no needles. And you get your stats up at the end of the game, you know, you're not impacting the game, son. You're not. They can go back and watch film. I done watched every Cowboy game there is. He ain't been that impactful in the last 2 years. And you can go point at some 12 sacks all you want. Look at your record. Look at the defense. Y'all defense is one of the worst in the NFL. Y'all weren't getting to the quarterback. Y'all blamed Lawrence, which Lawrence was part of the problem. Once he got paid, he was like, I'm paid. Don't ask me for nothing. And they was like, dude, you just got the contract. Yeah, for what I've already done. So Lawrence is out. Now where that lead the rest of the team? How many games did Micah miss last season? And CD Lamb is overrated. I mean, Dak is overrated. CD, Micah, they're all overrated. It's just that they play on the Cowboys. CD Butterfinger Lamb. How many times he didn't drop the pass? He's leading the NFL in drops from wide receivers. Butterfinger Lamb. A wide receiver with no speed. Can only catch slants. But we treat him like a superstar. Because he's in Dallas. He that dude. We ain't be that dude for catching slants. He the dude that's crying. He the dude that's not making an impact in the game. When I think of that dude, I'm thinking of people like Chase, Jamar Chase, who proves he that dude. You ain't the dude when y'all down 5 touchdowns and then your quarterback, the defense is playing basically prevent and letting you get all these fantasy football points. So you can't just look at stats in football. You got to really watch the game in football. defense get loud, Cowboys go down 28-zip. Then here come the Cowboys trying to fight back. You talking about he had Burrows. It didn't matter who Randy Moss had. He had Brad Johnson. He had Jeff George. You know how many people was getting stats off of Randy Moss? Freak had 1,000 yards receiving when he was in Oakland. If you a wide receiver, you make it happen. Now, I'm not saying he's freak, but CeeDee Lamb is grossly overrated. Leading the NFL in drops as a wide receiver. How many games y'all lost because CeeDee just dropped the damn ball that hit him right in the hand? And y'all wanted to blame that. How many? 1, 2, maybe 3. Every game he got a critical drop that hit him right in the hand. And they blame Dak. Now, Dak is not to be excused. Dak is what, 3rd, 4th round quarterback? And he plays like it. He has no accuracy on his deep balls. His benefit is he used to scramble and get out of the pocket. But once he got that ankle broke up, where he had to have 2 surgeries on it, he's not willing to go running no more. Now if he pops a pinky, he's out. He ain't no tape it up and let's go back out there, guy. He's a great teammate guy, though. He's a good morale guy. Nobody gonna fight for you more than Dak. He gonna stand his ground. And if it wasn't for him, Cowboys wouldn't have no 12-4 season. Not at all. 0 12-4 seasons. Of course you should have kept Cooper over CeeDee Lamb. But Cooper was also a problem. I'm gonna break down the whole Dallas Cowboys here, so y'all can understand what team y'all really got. It's no surprise where y'all at. Now, when you start talking about the Dallas Cowboys, all right, let's go from the failures of this organization. The failures is not having a real general manager and president of the team. Jerry refuses to let go of that mantle, and he feels his 92 brain can pick winners because of what he did in the 90s. Here it is. Almost 30 years later, Jerry still believing he could pick winners. Now, that's part of the failure. And what does he play? The good old boy system. I reward my boys. Give them good marriage for being good old boys. Okay, they're not literal cowboys, Jerry. They're football players, NFL football players. They're not literally cowboys. I just want you to know that. There's no code and creed. Nobody's coming to the stadium riding horse. Okay? Players are going to make the best decisions and get their ass up out of town. Now, Drew Bledsoe was the last quarterback you got, right? From Buffalo. And at this point, he was there to be your starter. He got hurt, and you went with the backup and Tony Romo, right? Because Troy Aikman retired, and you went and got Bledsoe to be your quarterback. Bledsoe got hurt. Tony Romo became the quarterback, and this started the trend of Dallas. And the trend in Dallas is stick with the backup quarterback. They get Tony Romo, and they let Drew Bledsoe go. Right? Then Tony's your man. Knowing this guy's a backup, knowing all he's gonna do is throw the ball to the guy that's in the Hall of Fame, who has probably the lowest yards after catch in NFL history. Get the ball to Jason Witten. And that was his bailout plan, because he's a backup quarterback. Who he gonna have more reps with? The tight end. So now that he got first reps, in the situation, well, here's the situation. You go from Romo, who continuously kept throwing interceptions on slant passes because he doesn't have the arm strength to throw that slant. Everybody sees it coming a mile away. How many times he ended the Cowboys season throwing a pick six? He put them out the playoffs, pick six. They didn't make the playoffs, lost the last game of the season, pick six. And it was time to get rid of Tony. But what Jerry do? Jerry could have got any quarterback in the NFL. What did he do? He paid Tony Romo. Paid Tony. No, Tony's our guy. Tony's all right. And what happened with Tony? You got nothing. So you got nothing out of Tony. Yet again, he gets broken up. You draft a quarterback with the third pick, saying he'll be a good backup for Tony. Because now we got a mobile quarterback. You got a mobile quarterback who got beat up on the beach in college. That was his only highlight. When your only highlight is you getting beat up in college, that's your only highlight. said, damn, that's the dude that got beat up on the beach. He really played football? And next thing you know, Tony gets hurt. Dak goes in. And everybody's got Dak fever. Dak is winning games. Look, Dak could be the man. Now it was, okay, what's going to happen, Jerry? Am I getting back out there? It's like, well, you just going to back up Dak. Dak's going to be the starter. Can't take him out now. Paying him peanuts, and the crowd loves him. Can't take him out now, they'll get upset. And Tony was like, F this. I quit. I got a broadcasting job waiting for me. I'm Tony Romo, the biggest failure to ever land this high. All right, well, you go on here, Tony. So, Tony Romo grew up about, I would say, 20 miles from where I'm at standing right now. In one of the most racist towns in the history of Wisconsin. Burlington, Wisconsin. And it is known as the Chocolate City. Not because of black people. No, where the black people in there is probably like 2. No, they have a factory, a chocolate factory in Burlington. And you could smell chocolate throughout the entire town. They got so much power in that town. The Walmart is not like any Walmart you've ever seen. It's made like a strip mall. I went there by mistake once. And I said, wait a minute. This can't be Walmart. I walked in there and it just said Walmart. I've never seen a Walmart like that in the history of mankind. I said, no way. This is not Walmart. Yeah, it was Walmart already. Just not the Walmart you used to go into. This was made by white people, for white people, by white people. When I walked through the doors, I didn't even get to the carts. A customer walked up to me and asked me, did I need any help? Not people that work there. A customer of the store of this Walmart said, are you lost? You need any help? I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is the Walmart I'm supposed to be at right now. Oh, you probably mean the Walmart in Racine. That's the one you probably need to go. Oh, you know what? You 100% right. If it's getting out of this environment, absolutely. It was like the whole place had stopped. The registers, everybody stopped and they're looking at me like, what's happening there? I was like, I gotta get out this town quick. So now, here it is. Romo's in the booth. You got Dak. Dak had every weapon known to man. Cowboys are winning 12 games, 14 games, and they got Dak Prescott. And you keep seeing what happens when Dak plays in the playoffs. At this time, the division sucked. So teams were getting wiped out in the division. You had a stellar defense, and your defense was basically keeping y'all in the game. All Dak had to do was not lose it. Now, they weren't scoring a lot of points, but they were winning the games because the defense was controlling everything. And the Cowboys went away from that to, we signed Dak to this big deal. Now we need Dak to put up the numbers. Dak got to put up 300-yard games, That got to put up stats now because he's playing for a contract. So y'all philosophy changed from all defense, bring the championships, so we need a high-powered offense. And you blamed all your failures on Dez Bryant. Well, it's Dez's fault. Well, Dez could only run the route, but y'all was winning 14 games with Dez Bryant. The problem is y'all didn't have a reliable number 2 wide receiver. Now, Dez is slow, but what Dez Bryant could do was find a way to get open. And they were giving him ball. Then they stopped. So they didn't pay Dez Bryant his money because Dez was very vocal. And they went from the defensive side of the ball to being stuck. Yeah, so they were stuck. They screwed Dez. Well, Dez is too vocal. Dez is too vocal. Plus, he only had one move. He couldn't run a route tree. So if you got a wide receiver that can't run the route tree, because he's slow, but they were winning with Dez. You lose Dez Bryant, what did you replace him with? I'm just saying, what did you replace him with? You replaced him with a bunch of 3rd round, 4th round wide receivers. You surrounded Dak with scraps of the NFL. Meanwhile, your defense that you had that was good, that was winning, where they keep talking about this catch with Dez Bryant's the catch in Green Bay. That was a catch. And if we would have caught that, we would have won the game. No, you was not. You haven't stopped Green Bay the entire game. They had scored on almost every possession. When in the world you was going to stop them? They got the ball back and still marched down the field. They were still up by 10 at that point. It was a lot of time in the game. They were just going to come right back down and score again, which they did. But y'all want to use that play like y'all was going to take the lead or something. The Cowboy fans love to linger on something. That was our season. You couldn't stop Green Bay. Defensively, y'all were cooked. They had all y'all figured out, and y'all make too many stupid mistakes. How many times did Green Bay embarrass y'all in the playoffs? The dude did the Michael Jackson catch. Isn't it Bubba Franks or somebody? It's unbelievable how y'all was losing games. So this cycle of failure is the Cowboys' forte under Jerry. Now, through this whole ordeal, the Dallas Cowboys had a chance When Dez Bryant was doing his thing, the Cowboys had opportunities to grab wide receivers and didn't take them. Didn't take it. Had every chance in the book. They had a chance to get Wes Welker. They didn't get him. Wes Welker came and gone. We know what he did with New England, and he ended up going to Denver. And y'all thought I can get a cheap version of Wes Welker. One guy who couldn't decide if he was going to be a rapper or a football player. Beasley. You got that white boy making rap songs. He's going to be our Wes Welker. Plus, he's about $4-5 million cheaper. He's younger and he's cheaper. Meanwhile, Wes Welker's going to the Super Bowl. Again, a Jerry Jones move. That y'all still praise Jerry. So he can't do no wrong. Knowing that his decisions keep y'all right where y'all need to be. So now, Dak is getting his stats. You're losing early in the season now, but Dak is getting his numbers. You get blown out, starting off 28-0, then in the second half, they go in a prevent, and then Dak start throwing bombs. Guys start catching passes, hitting everybody underneath. And at the end of the game, Cowboys lose a close game. But Dak Prescott had 4 touchdowns, 380-some yards. And y'all like, man, Dak is killing him for fantasy. Yeah, but in reality, he's not killing. He's taking what the prevent is giving him. Then when they get to the playoffs, and there's no prevents, there's no people know your routine, they're going to jump on you, and they're going to blow y'all out. Y'all lost to like a 7th seed Green Bay Packers team that had no business beating you. They got like a rookie quarterback in Jordan Love, who's the first time in a playoff game smokes y'all. Y'all down like 31-0. How? How does that happen? Dan Quinn sabotaged Dallas. No. Jerry Jones sabotaged Dallas. Dan Quinn wasn't the problem. Dan Quinn had no control over his personnel. Dan Quinn should have been the head coach. He was not. You stayed flipping through head coaches just like you did with quarterbacks. You always get the lowest person for the job. Parcells was the guy that was going to bring that team back to prominence because he could scout talent and he could make things go. So what did he do? He brought in... Absolutely. So what did he do? He brought in his guy. And when he brought in his guy, there was no problems. None whatsoever. Then Parcells said, okay, I'm ready to take over the GM. I got some players I want to bring in here. And Jared was like, no, you tell me your insight, and then I'll decide if I want to go get it. He's like, that's not what we agreed on, Jared. He was like, oh no, you just misunderstood the deal. And that's exactly what I was agreeing on. I'm the only general manager here. He said, well, that's the reason I took the job. Because tuna was the best thing y'all had. See, Garrett was the offensive coordinator. You made him the head coach. After you went and got Wade Phillips, your other Cowboy buddy. Getting Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips was just a fill-in replacement for Dan Reeves. So when Dan Reeves left, yeah, after they left and everything, it became a whole new world. Yeah, Dan Reeves left, it became a whole new world. They won with Wade Phillips, and they thought, oh, it's because of Wade Phillips. No, because you had TD. That's how you won. Elway was there, but you had TD. That's how you won. Now, they thinking Wade got all the magic. No, Wade Phillips failed considerably once Elway retired. Elway was like, all right, I won 2. I'm not going for a 3-peat. I'm out. I'm done. So Elway left on top. Nobody beat John after he won the 2 Super Bowls. He knew it was time to go. Now, no, here's the thing. They always bring that Jessica Simpson thing up. That wasn't the reason they was losing, because they kept losing after she left. Tony Romo is just a backup quarterback that they tried to overinflate into a superstar. They loved the fact she was out there. It was like Kelsey and this Taylor Swift. They were promoting that like crazy until he started losing. And once the Cowboys started losing, they needed somebody to blame. Jessica Simpson. She's got Tony Ryan mind all messed up. Tony decided to take a vacation before a playoff game. We got the week off before the playoffs. I'm gonna go on a family trip. Just go on a vacation for a minute. I'll be back for the playoffs next week. You could do that after the season. What message that send when your leader is doing that? So of course you were going home. We hadn't seen anything that crazy since the Odell Beckham and the boat party. Remember Odell Beckham had the boat party thing? Hey, how you doing? So after the Odell Beckham situation with the boat party, that was the last time we seen something that crazy that didn't make sense that you would do right before a playoff game. And you would say, well, you would think that would be the dumbest thing that the Giants have done, right? Oh, they quadrupled down on the stupid. You know what they did after that? Not only did they get embarrassed for wearing the no shirts on the boat, that ain't what did them in. What did him in is Odell Beckham doubling down on his stupidity, decided to let's go out there with our shirts off in the cold, freezing tundra of Green Bay to show them that that boat thing don't mean nothing. We're gonna practice and warm up with our shirts off. It's freezing cold in Green Bay, and y'all going through y'all workout with y'all shirts off like we ain't in phase. Come on, we're gonna take our shirts off. Sure, we ain't phase. Yeah, that boat party, that don't mean nothing. We still finna come out here and win. Odell dropped like 4-5 passes, battling and fighting off hypothermia. This is where stupidity comes in. And I knew what kind of player he was. Overrated, injury prone. And they still might find a way to try to stick him into the put him in the hall. Of course he didn't like T.O. A lot of people didn't like T.O. T.O. was opinionated. He got in coaches' faces. He standoffish. And he had that reputation of uncoachable. And he couldn't shake it. But him and Tuna didn't get along. And they got rid of T.O. because of Tuna. Another guy they got for the Lola, but it happened to be T.O. And T.O. can play. And that's hard, playing with a quarterback that's just a backup. And they're pumping him up like he's a #1 quarterback. But that's the Jerry system. So this whole new era comes around where it's time to rebuild the Cowboys. You done let all these star wide receivers go by that you could have had for the Lolo. But you want to stick with people like Miles Austin, an alcoholic, because he caught a couple of passes in the game. Then he started boning Kim Kardashian, forcing drinks down her throat. And he tricking off games because he drunk. See, y'all didn't even know that happened. I'll take that problem any day. Well, you can take it. It's about years.A. I'm telling you, it's about, it is about what you will allow and what you won't allow. He's on boat parties. Miles Austin got Kim Kardashian over there drunk. They both throwing up over the boat. And that was the first time she ever started drinking. She didn't used to drink. So she ran into Miles, alcoholic Austin. That cost y'all season. See, Cowboys failure go deep. Y'all only stick to what the press tell you. Meanwhile, y'all trying to revamp the team through Lawrence when Tuna would have had y'all in contention because he's the one that found Marcus Ware and brought Ware to the Cowboys. So now Marcus Ware goes and wins a Super Bowl, comes back, DeMarcus everywhere. You basically use up all his years. And it's time to rebuild. So y'all get Micah Parsons, you get CeeDee Lamb, and it was like Parsons. And CD, since he took the phone out the chick hand, well, that went to his head. Everybody loved CeeDee Lamb after that. I even said, all right, wait a minute. The way he snatched that phone out that girl's hand, he might be all right. Everybody goes, yeah, that's a cowboy there. Yeah, we gonna bring back the Michael Irvin days. I'm like, I swear to God, it was all over the internet. Once he snatched that doggone phone out that chick's hand, he was a Cowboy star already. And he didn't even play the game. He had just got drafted. And the way he snatched that phone out of her hand, like, give me my phone. Man, the whole world. They knew what time it was. Now, here's the thing. The Cowboys had tight end after tight end they could have had. The Cowboys could have had Zach Ertz. They let Zach Ertz go because they wanted to stick with Witten. Jason Witten was their guy. Zach Ertz ended up going to who? The Philadelphia Eagles. Well, he put up great numbers, great blocker, still playing, still putting up numbers. They let them go. They got CeeDee Lamb. They got Zeke. Ezekiel Elliott. Dak Prescott. Micah. And CeeDee Lamb. And this was supposed to be the anchor of the new Dallas Cowboys. Can anybody tell the world what went wrong here? Everybody in the free world did a report on Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott was known for issues. His father and family were covering for him. So many off the field issues. And now
all right, this just
So, well, he's looking at what TJ Watt got. TJ Watt deal changed everything. It's like, I did better numbers than those people. So I got to get paid more. I'm not finna listen to I'm gonna do this and do what's best for the team. Oh, well, Jerry happened because he wanted to take care of his boys Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott. They got CeeDee Lamb, and then they got Micah. So once they built this new Cowboys thing, Jerry don't like to look wrong. So he stayed with Zeke too long and didn't keep a leash on Zeke. Zeke kept screwing up. As soon as his first season was over, he had a boat party where he get all crazy and doing the same things that they were talking about in college. Zeke comes in about 200 something pounds. He's on an island somewhere training to get in shape because he want to come back and have a good year because he was all fat coming in there and he wasn't an explosively fast running back. He had a quick step, but when you taking all these hits and getting lit up, and even though you was having that great first year, now people are all on you. Mm. Well, that's because it came down to it. Michael Parsons, they call him the best edge rusher in football. I don't see it that way. I feel that this is the end when it comes to America's team. I don't see the Cowboys having a great year, but this is the best thing for the Cowboys. You can't keep tying up all your money into two and three players. No team is doing that, is winning Super Bowls. Now, if you want to win the Super Bowl, it ain't by loading your team up, three guys making the lion's share of the money. That ain't gonna get you there. Is Michael Parsons gonna get you to a Super Bowl? No. Is he gonna get the Green Bay Packers to a Super Bowl next season? No. Mm-hmm. That's because they never got to that point. The Cowboys would be better off without Micah. Way better. Now, if you didn't tie up all that money into Micah Parsons, boom, you got two first round draft picks. Now you get to build around and pick up real veteran talent. Not right, not some guys that's on their last contract in the NFL. Well, we'll never forget 2017. Um, the Mitch Trubisky debacle. Yep. When we could have had Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. All right. That doomed the Chicago Bears and set us on a decline for years to come until we finally got to where we are now. The Dallas Cowboys could have had Myles Garrett. Let that sink in. The They could have made a trade that would have got them the number one pick in the draft, and they could have got Myles Garrett. Now, Myles Garrett was an instant number one draft pick. Yeah, Mitch Trubisky. Is he in the NFL still? hmm Well, they could have had Solomon Thomas. Solomon Thomas ended up on the Jets. The Cowboys could have had Solomon Thomas in the same draft Myles Garrett was. And Dak Prescott went to the Cowboys and said, hey, Solomon Thomas is the guy. You know, he told him, if you want to get anybody, get Solomon Thomas. When he was talking to the Cowboy Scotch, not Jerry Jones. Cowboys could have had Leonard Fournette as their running back. They chose not to go there. They screwed that draft up. That was 2017. Was that 2017 18? The 49ers got Christian McCaffrey. I remember that. I think Christian McCaffrey was in that draft. And yeah, Solomon Thomas. That was the guy. I don't think he told Jerry. I know he told the rest of the team. Like that was those were the guys were the steals. Of course, I like Michael Irvin and Michael and Emmitt Smith. That's how they won. Because without E, you don't win. Playmaker think, yeah, if it wasn't for me, we wouldn't have won nothing. Now they'll tell you I'm that difference maker. Playmaker, he wouldn't survive being able to play in today's NFL. It'll be so many offensive pass interferences called on him, he wouldn't even be a relevant wide receiver. Playmaker just scared everybody because Playmaker was crazy. Mm-hmm. So what happens when you blow the draft? You spent about 2, 3 years trying to catch up in the NFL. So what did your Dallas Cowboys do in 2018? They said, man, the defense is looking shaky. You need to get some guys out here. Well, the Cowboys could have got Denzel Ward for nothing. They could have had Denzel Ward. Once again, the Cleveland Browns beat them to the point. In 2021, they could have got Josh Allen. Buffalo wanted him, and they ended up getting him. They cool with Dak. And see, Roquan Smith for the Chicago Bears. But they let Roquan Smith go because we weren't going to tie up all that money. And you see where the Bears at now? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Y'all took Vander Edge. Vander Edge is a guy that could never stay on the field. Y'all drafted Vander Edge. That's Jerry Jones' waste of a draft pick. 2018. I told you, I will dictate, I will go down your failures. You took Vander Esch because he's a white linebacker, and you was thinking, man, Jerry was thinking, man, he reminds me of Brian Urlacher. Boy, if I'd have had Urlacher in that Dallas Cowboy, he wanted to play. I should have got him. But I wanted to be true to my boys. Yeah, Vander Esch. That's who the Cowboys took. Dog, you could have took anybody with that pick. That was the worst draft pick of 2018, and that set you back. Meanwhile, you let Calvin Ridley go as a wide receiver. You could have took him. There's no secret why the Steelers know how to recruit more better than Jerry. You think that was an accident? Mm, no, no. Vander Edge, that's your draft pick. That set you back. You think it wasn't gonna set you back? It set you back. Cause now you done wasted a middle linebacker position. And for what? Oh, the next draft pick after that was what? Was that the Kyler Murphy? No, that was the draft where they drafted a 2'2" quarterback named Kyler Murray. And then everybody wanted Bosa, and Bosa ended up going to San Francisco. Well, Clemson had all the stars that year. Remember, that was the first year I think Clemson had all the superstars come out and go pro. And Gruden was coming back for the Raiders, and Gruden was recruiting. And he went and got some dogs on that line for the Raiders that year. He went to Clemson, and he got I think what's his name, Farrell or Farrell. He went and recruited him. Oh yeah. Well, the Cowboys weren't gonna get Quentin Williams unless they make a trade. But that's the guy you would go and get from the Jets is Quentin Williams. You know, you would have went and got Quentin Williams quick. So you're not getting that. Well, that doomed the Giants too. That's the year they took Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. It's no clue. The game of football has passed Jerry by. His scouts and who they recruit is based on a homeboy system. They ended up getting Micah. They could have had Brian Burns, but they ended up getting Micah, so yeah, they was okay with that. Mm-hmm. All the Eagles recovered good from what's that, Andre Dillard debacle? That was a terrible pick by the Eagles. But they didn't let that, dictate, where they were gonna go. Right, that doomed them. The Cowboys didn't have a pick. I'm like, dude, they didn't have any noticeable picks in 2019. Cowboys were done. Sometimes you gotta be like, look, this season ain't it. We building. And that's what the Eagles is doing. The Eagles is like, we ain't gonna make it this year. We build it. I can't tell you past 2020 on down. I just remember some of the picks the Cowboys then blew, just off the top of my head. Now, a lot of these guys, it depends on who had a hot season in college. Like some people were going to TCU for players back then. I'm like, dude, I ain't drafting nobody from no TCU. I don't care what hot season they had. I'm done with Dallas. I can't do this no more. This is the best thing for you. If you're a Cowboy fan, let me tell you something. This is the best news of the day for a Cowboy fan. I'm telling you, this is what you need. You right now complaining because you think it's not what you need. This is exactly what you need. Remember, every expert told you Jalen Hurts was the worst draft pick in the NFL that year for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts from Alabama, who demanded a trade.
Be taken way too early, or he was going to be a potential late round steal for some lucky team. In the end, it turned out to be the former for the Oklahoma product. We really don't know what the Eagles are doing here. Taking a quarterback with the number 53 selection in round 2. What? You're worried about Carson Wentz's health. Then he should have signed Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, or traded for somebody like Andy Dalton. Or they could have waited and drafted a quarterback in a later round. Jacob Eason and Jake Fromm would have been nice picks. Chances are the Eagles will.
So they wanted Fromm to go. And a lot of people wanted Fromm that went with Buffalo, the racist Fromm. They they got him on the team, right? And this guy was the biggest bust in the NFL. I'm telling you, that was it. This is when the Eagles went ahead of the Cowboys. That was it. They were preparing for Super Bowls.
Jalen Hurts. He was either going to be taken way too early or he was going to be a potential late round steal for some lucky team. In the end, it turned out to be the former for the Oklahoma product. We really don't know what the Eagles are doing here. Taking a quarterback with the number 53 selection in round 2. You know what? You're worried about Carson Wentz's health. Then you should have signed Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, or traded for somebody like Andy Dalton. Or they could have waited and drafted a quarterback in a later round. Jacob Eason and Jake Fromm would have been nice picks. Chances are the Eagles will use Hurts in various gadget and trick plays. We can expect a rise in wildcat formations as well. So maybe Hurts will be a serviceable weapon in Doug Peterson's offense. But still, prayers up to EDP. But even then, why take this guy in round 2 if you're not putting him on the field every play? Wentz signed a $128 million extension in 2019, so he's not going anywhere. Unless Hurts one day replaces Wentz and successfully wins the starting job, or unless he becomes a big-time playmaker as a running back or wide receiver. This will go down as one of the worst selections in the Howie Roseman era. Peterson better get creative with his new quarterback, or he's screwed. Number 2 greatest. CD Lamb. You know you have an elite skill set and ultra-high ceiling when you're considered a steal. When you went 17th overall, Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, and Henry Ruggs were the big 3 wide receiver prospects. One can easily argue that Lamb is the most talented and the most likely to succeed, and yet Ruggs and Jeudy both went before him. We're very sure that Jerry Jones didn't have Lamb on his wish list, because there's no way the Dallas Cowboys owner could have imagined he'd be there. Wide receiver was the least of Dallas' needs at the draft, but Jones knew he couldn't pass on this world-class talent. Lamb will join Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup to form the undisputed top wideout trio in the NFL. They should give opposing defenses
Yep, and you had Zeke, and you had Dak, and you lost. Zeke ate his way out the league. And why did they lose, ladies and gentlemen? Why did these people lose? Why did this Dallas Cowboy team lose? Let's go through it. See, this is what they was talking about. That was the key. CD Lamb was the missing piece y'all needed. The reason he was available and dropped down to 17 when he was ranked better than Jeudy and all of those guys as a wide receiver was because of his attitude. Because of the way he played. That's what got him. His attitude off the field. He was a head case. They did their homework. That's why they passed on him. Jerry had to take him because he couldn't have another Randy Moss situation on his hands, where he passed up on Randy Moss that would have took the Cowboys to the Super Bowl about 4-5 more times. He couldn't let that happen again. Randy Moss was the missing piece the Cowboys needed, and they let him go and got talked out of it. And Jerry has never lived that down. And every time they played Moss, he beat the living snot out of the Cowboys. So that's why CD Lamb ended up on the team. It wasn't a bad pick. CD Lamb was not a bad pick. But when you had Amari Cooper and you had Gallup on the team, this created a problem because now Dak Prescott has no excuses. And now you're forcing Dak Prescott, who's a game manager, to start throwing 300-yard games. And now, if you don't get a guy like CD Lamb the ball, he's not a guy to be like, all right, okay, next play. He's the guy that's going to mostly shut down, immature, man, pout, and he going to be mad. So you got to force the ball to him to keep him happy. which leads to Dak's interceptions, which leads to the other team going the other way, and the Dallas Cowboys going home. This is reality, folks. Y'all were asking for Trey Lance at the end of the season when Dak dropped that egg and y'all got blown out. Y'all have been at home. Lost y'all last 2 playoff games at the crib. Y'all excuse was we wasn't at home. It don't matter where you at. You're not winning in either place. You had no advantage. Thanks, Colton Evans. They need to hear this. Cowboy fans need to hear this. Today is the best news in Cowboys history. Y'all just don't know it. Had y'all paid Micah that money, y'all have been the stupidest team in America yet again. This is the best thing for you. Now you can go get an edge rusher that's good and cheap. Micah wasn't winning games for y'all. You can't win games if you're sitting on the sideline injured and you ain't 100%. You too small and you getting pancaked by these doggone big offensive lines. And when we need you against Washington, you ain't gonna be there. Washington was standing his ass up. Daniels is doing whatever he wanted. And now all the teams in that division is getting better. Why? Because they used the draft to build their team up. They said, all right, we ain't gonna win it this year, but we gonna get some pieces. So in about 2-3 years, we gonna make a run. We gonna be dangerous. Well, we gonna be dangerous for the next 6-7 years. The Eagles is set to be good for the next 3-4 years. This is why it's no accident they go into back-to-back Super Bowls and going, getting back to the Super Bowl again. Everybody contracts is good. You're not paying one person all the damn money. You got 3 players overpaid. Dak is overpaid. You should have traded Dak Prescott. That was the biggest mistake they ever made. First, the biggest mistake was not locking him in when he wanted $30 million. You should have just signed him for the $30 million and gotten it over with. By you lingering on, you let Dak's stock go up. Now he want to hold out. Now you in a bind. So now you got stuck. And don't nobody want Dak. But you should have traded Dak Prescott. You shouldn't have kept him. Now, right, look at Purdy, Brock Purdy. All these low-rent quarterbacks getting to the Super Bowl, but they can't win it. It's hard to win it with a low-rate quarterback like that. They was talking about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has won a national championship before. So he's dealt with that type of pressure. Brock Purdy, he never dealt with that. So why the 49ers keep losing? They went and got Tom Brady's backup quarterback. And it was like, you gonna stick with him when you could have got Brady? And Brady said, okay, if you want to stick with this guy, that guy who was my backup in New England, over me? Like he said, you gonna choose that mother over me? The guy that's getting caught with porn stars? No. Sorry. Good luck trying to get him to lead y'all to a championship. I don't even know if that dude's in the league no more. He blew that Super Bowl because he wasn't prepared to win it. When you get to the Super Bowl, you got to be prepared to win it. That's the way it goes. Myles Garrett won nothing in Cleveland. He's playing his butt off in Cleveland. See, that's the problem. You don't understand. Had he been on your team, what he would have won. But y'all should have made that trade the year prior. Y'all would have had the #1 pick. And y'all could have got Myles Garrett. And how much of a difference that would have made. Right. Right. That they draft what the year prior they drafted Hurts. They went and got Devonta Smith. The Eagles decided to not go after any of the big names. Like they could have Horn went ahead of him. They took Devonta Smith. And the Cowboys drafted Micah Parsons. That's who they wanted. They took Micah. He averaging 12 to 14 sacks. Don't mean nothing. Micah was small. He had a great rookie year though. But I would have took, I've been looking at the offensive line. I'd have been trying to build them hogs up, build that running game up, and protect Dak. Dak can make some third down passes. Keep him in third and shorts. That's how Dak is effective. Quit trying to make Dak Prescott this doggone guy that's throwing bombs down the field. You see, that's how the Eagles start to build themselves up. And the Detroit Lions start building themselves up. The Giants start building themselves down. They took Kadarius Toney. Remember Kadarius Toney? Giants. Kadarius Toney was y'all draft pick. Completely awful. Right. You could have had Darrisaw that went to Minnesota. I'd have took Darrisaw over him. They'll get a quarterback in next year's draft. Who? What quarterback is really standing out in college football right now? If the Cowboys had any sense and they were serious about winning, they would trade with the Chicago Bears to get Bajan from West Virginia. If the Cowboys had any sense in their brain, you go get Bajan and put Bajan on your team. Everything you looked at for the Cowboys was based on production on the field. If the Cowboys were able to get Arch Manning, of course they're going to want to boost him up to the moon. The NFL would. But seriously, Arch Manning, Mm-hmm. Well, when you're not running the ball, that matters. You can have a good offensive line, but when you don't have proper personnel, it goes left. Devonta Smith is the guy that you want to. Yeah, that's the guy you would want on your team. He would complement somebody like Jalen Hurts because you need a burner on your team. Who's the burner on the Cowboys team? Who the fastest wide receiver they have? You need somebody that's a burner. They don't have a burner on their team. They're really easy to defend. Oh yeah, Packers and Cowboys will face off this year. This is why the Bears are going to the Super Bowl because we're gonna beat the boys. We're gonna beat that whole division up. They're not ready for the Bears. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the draft of 2022 right now. Yeah, I want to look at the draft of 2022 because that's gonna tell me a lot. Nah. Yep, they picked up Tyler Smith from Tulsa in the first round of 2022. They took that offensive tackle from Tulsa, Tyler Smith. Now, why didn't they try to get Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa I have no idea. That's insanity there. If you want offensive line, you basically go to the Midwest. We have the best offensive line college in the world. Abraham Lucas went to Washington State. They should have took him. He went in the third round. You could have took him. Believe me, some of the best offensive linemen come from Michigan, Ohio State, like Eastern Illinois. You find a whole bunch of big, thick white boys eating some good old briskets. Yeah, Bucks got Cade Otton doing what they supposed to do. Bucks is keeping themselves in contention. Now the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They already storming to where they need to be. Oh, they took Christian Watson. That's what Watson stay healthy, man. That's a touchdown machine. He just can't stay healthy. They took Dean. It's not a bad pick. But the Eagles already had what they need. They had their nucleus to build on. They had the running back, they had the wide receiver, they had the quarterback, and they had the tight end. And you build from there. Defense was already on lock. Then, once again, they took Jake Ferguson from Wisconsin. Good tight end. That was a good pick for the Cowboys. I think Jake Ferguson was a good pick for a tight end for the Cowboys. It had been time for them to get a tight end. But shouts out to the Baltimore Ravens for taking Isaiah Lively from Coastal Carolina. Because I didn't know where he came from. They did some damn good scouting on him. Because it's like he came out of nowhere, but he complements Lamar's game. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that draft was crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why the Cowboys is spending all this money on overpaid players, all these other teams is finna lap them. That's how Washington came up so quick. Everybody thought Washington was crazy for letting their whole team go. Remember that? All the star players they had on their team. And they was like, damn, Washington just got rid of all their star players. They didn't pay none of them dudes. They let everybody go. All the stars. Everybody picked off Washington. Let me grab these. Let me grab them. Took all from the Washington Redskins. They let everybody go. And you see why? They went and got young talent on that team with a young quarterback that they can go places with in Washington. Zach Purdy was the last pick in the draft. He was the last pick in the draft in 2022. Seventh round pick. You know, the last pick in the draft, they used to get him a trip to Hawaii. Now he the starting quarterback of the team. Yeah, 49ers ain't going nowhere. So Bryce Young was the number one pick in that draft in 2023. Then CJ Stroud came out and destroyed the NFL his rookie year, and he fell off completely. Then Nolan Smith was drafted by the Eagles in 2023. They took Nolan Williams and built themselves up. Yep, Steelers took Porter, so he was off the board. But no moves by Dallas. Then, oh yeah, that was it. They took Shoemaker the very next year. You just drafted a tight end in Ferguson. Then you turn around and draft another goddamn tight end the very next year. You took Shoemaker. That's what somebody said in the chat. Shoemaker. You drafted Luke Shoemaker in this draft, screwing your whole draft up for 2023. Started right off on the bad foot. You draft two tight ends as your first picks in the draft, back to back. Back to back seasons. You just got Ferguson. Bad drafting. And this is how other teams get better and they start lapping you. That was key to see a trade that damn bad. Yeah, that wasn't a good trade. I mean, not a good draft pick, period. Meanwhile, the Eagles is lacking. Then the Eagles had back-to-back picks, right? They took the offensive tackle, Tyler Sheen, and they took the safety, Sidney Brown. Back-to-back after y'all screw up. Then you took Overshown. Now, Overshown has got potential. He's just green. It's going to take Overshown some time, and on the right team with right development, he would have been on course. But Overshown is a good player from Texas. Overshown is not a bad player at all, y'all. Yeah, he just green. He just needs more reps. He needs development. Y'all wasted went to San Diego State and got what's his name? Finico, the defensive end, Vanilli Finico. Y'all just wasting draft picks. I was like, y'all could have got Carter Warren. Y'all could have got any of these dudes. This is crazy. When you look back and see what the picks the Cowboys have blown, you went to San Diego State to get a defensive end? What, you on crack? You could have got KJ Henry from Clemson. You went to San Diego State? That's crazy. I never, not for a defensive end. He would have to be a standout. They could have had KJ Henry from Clemson. That just didn't make any sense to me. Well, the Giants are no better. They took Trey Hawkins III at cornerback. So, NYG. Y'all better hope Eli come back. Oh, you finally got rid of DeVito, Tommy DeVito. You finally realized, okay, the Tommy DeVito thing is over. We can go and cut a guy we never should have had on the team. Jalen Brooks at wide receiver. Why? Why? Boy, the Cowboys know how to screw up some draft picks, boy. Woo! Bears got Caleb Williams. All right, Jaden Daniels. We already know what's going on here. The Eagles took the cornerback Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo. I didn't see that coming at all. I was like, Mitchell, cornerback, from Toledo? I was like, I didn't really see that. But he was the first cornerback taken in that draft. I was like, okay, that's crazy. Mostly everybody was getting offensive linemen. But I would have took Nate Wiggins from Clemson over Mitchell. But it turned out Quinyon Mitchell was actually better for him. So they shows you that they know more than me. That's why they have a job doing this and I don't. But sometimes I'm right. They went and got Cooper DeJean from Iowa, cornerback. All right. And Cooper DeJean, I think, played quarterback for a little bit when he was in college. So Cooper DeJean, who ended up showing up in the Super Bowl, they just drafted him. And the Cowboys get an edge rusher, Marshawn Nealon from Western Michigan as an edge rusher. Hmm. Eh. And you wonder why the Cowboys end up where they are. Then they got an offensive guard named Cooper Beebe from Kansas State. Cooper Beebe is Can he stay healthy? We'll see. Now, Phillips from Kentucky, though, the cornerback from Kentucky that the Giants got, we'll see what happens. Then they took, what's his name? The Cowboys wasted another pick and took Lufal, the linebacker from Notre Dame. Never take a linebacker from Notre Dame. I'm sorry. I would not do that. I would take a running back from Notre Dame. Might take a quarterback from Notre Dame. Might take a wide receiver. I am not taking a linebacker from Notre Dame. It's not happening. Bucks always be ready, buddy. They can have a walk-on come in there and wipe the floor with you. Now they got Hunt from Houston Christian. He came in as an edge rusher, and they took him in the 3rd round. The Eagles is still stacking up the draft with people that's going to perform. Meanwhile, the Cowboys, half these guys is either traded or gone. They took Will Shipley, the running back from Clemson. The Eagles did. Once again, the Eagles are alive in the draft. And Cowboys are not. Now, Theo Johnson from Penn State, good pickup by the Giants. Theo Johnson, I liked him. Good size, good hands, strong hands for a tight end. I just don't know how he gonna survive on the Giants. That was actually a good pickup. And then Jeremiah Trotter Jr. from Clemson. The Eagles picked him up. Of course, they're getting Trotter Jr., right? So they took Trotter Jr. with the 5th round pick. What's that going to hurt? Then the Eagles got another pick in the draft, right? They go to Michigan and get the offensive guard, Trevor Keegan, Still in the draft. This is last year's draft. So I'm like, what are they talking about? Yeah, well, I hear you talking. Then you get Ryan Flournoy from South Missouri State, wide receiver. I don't even think he made the roster. The Cowboys just wasting picks because they have no idea what they're doing. Nathan Thomas, offensive tackle from Louisiana. He's decent. He's decent. Nathan Thomas is decent. But we'll see what happens. He was decent in college. Justin Rogers from defensive tackle from Auburn. If they were gonna take a defensive tackle, you could have went with what's his name? Jawan Briggs. Jawan Briggs was better than him, and he played for Cincinnati. You could have took him if you're gonna do that. Marcus Harris, that played at Auburn, was better to me than Justin Rogers. Marcus Harris, who the Patriots took, they say, you take him, we gonna take the real guy. Marcus Harris was better than him in college. Why would you draft a guy that ain't better than him? Just didn't make any sense. And yeah, so that's it, man. So next week is going to be the start of the season. And I think that's what, Thursday night? We got Dallas and Philly. So that's going to be interesting to see who wins. Normally, the team that wins the Super Bowl lose week 1. So I would pick Dallas right now to win that game. But you never know. So we'll know by game time. Now that Micah ain't playing, that's going to change a lot of the odds. Probably. But Cowboy fans, do not panic. This is a good thing for you. Okay? This is a very good thing for you. Be happy. You don't need Micah Parsons. You don't. Not for that price. Best thing for you. Now you got freed up cash to go out and do what you need to do to build your team up, to compete if you want to win now. Anyway, I'm out. Shouts out to welcome to HDII TV Sports Talk with Jose Rodriguez, and we about.